it cannot be reversed. Of course, he puts in some good laws in there to supersede that one. But now here's the deal. You go, well, why couldn't the King Darius just change the law? I mean, he's the king. You know, Nebuchadnezzar earlier in this book, he could change it. On a whim, he would change it. Well, here's the reason. They thought this king, the Medes and Persians thought, okay, our king represents this god, Ormuzd. Did I pronounce that right? I'm not sure I've ever heard that one before. Ormuzd. And they said, well, the god can't change his mind. So if something was wrong last week, it's still wrong this week. If something was right last week, it's still right this week. God's not going to change his mind. And so here, Darius, I have put this one into motion. I am God's representative on earth. You have to pray to me every day for a month. You can't pray to anybody else. What if the U.S. government said that? What if they came to you, or if you pick up today's paper and on the front page it says, you can only pray to the president, or you can't pray to God for the rest of the month. And if you do, we're going to throw you to the lions. You laugh here, well, that'll never happen. It happened here. That's the idea. It really happened to Daniel's time. And Daniel's thinking, I'm not real fond of lions, you know. I don't go up to them and pet them. So now Daniel's got this dilemma. You can't pray other than to this earthly man. What are you going to do? So in verse 10, it tells us what he does. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home, and in his upper room, with his windows open toward Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knees 3 times that day and prayed and gave thanks before his God. Notice, as was his custom since early days. So here, Daniel very well knew what was going on. He knew that, okay, what's happening, and maybe others are tempted, well, I'm not going to pray then. It's just for 30 days I can handle, and God understands. And Daniel goes, you know what? I'm still going to pray and give thanks. That's been my custom for 80 plus years. This is who I am. This is what I do. I don't wait for a crisis to pray. I just pray. Now, it goes back to King Solomon when he was dedicating the temple. Now, this is many, many years before Daniel. And in 2 Chronicles chapter 6, Solomon is dedicating the temple. He has this wonderful prayer for the dedication. But part of that prayer was, you know, Lord, if we sin, and you judge us and carry us off to a foreign land, and we repent and face this temple, face Jerusalem, and pray, may you hear our prayers. Daniel, knowing the scriptures, realizes, I'm going to face Jerusalem, just like Solomon prayed in that dedication. He opens up the windows and just prays 3 times a day. Most likely 9, 12, and 3. What an awesome... Come on, this guy's busy, right? He's one of the top guys in the whole country, and yet he finds time to pray. Now, here's the deal. My wife says I say that a lot now. Here's the deal. I guess somebody else knows that too. Here's the point. When faced with a crisis, he did what he always did. He prayed. This is what I do. You know, there's nothing different. Good habits can be as hard to break as bad habits. And this guy had some good habits. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Beginning in verse 11, all the way up to verse 17. Now when, these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Well, Daniel was in his own place, right? Said he went home. They go and they find him praying. Verse 12, and they went before the king and spoke concerning the king's decree. Have you not signed a decree that every man who petitions any god or man within 30 days except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, yeah, that's true. According to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter. Meaning once it's in place, you can't change it. Verse 13, so they answered and said before the king, you know that Daniel, who is one of the captives from Judah, meaning he's not even one of us, guys. One of the captives from Judah does not show due regard for you, O king, for the decree that you signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. And the king, verse 14, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself he knew he blew it. He knew he was set up, and he fell for his pride and their deceit. He set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. He labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men approached the king and said to the king, "Know, O king, that is the law of the Medes and Persians, that no decree or statute which the king establishes may be changed." So the king gave the command, very reluctantly, obviously. They brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions, but the king spoke, saying to Daniel, "Your God, whom you serve," notice this word, "continually, he will deliver you." Then a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring, with the signets of his lords, that the purpose concerning Daniel might not be changed. So, this is a sly approach. They're thinking, all right, we got Daniel. But Daniel happens to be a friend of the king, right? The king was ready to raise up this guy. So they're going, how do we word this to where the king realizes there's no way out? And so they come in and say, king, I'm confused. Didn't you make this new law? Yeah, I made that. It can't be changed. Oh, you know what? You're not going to believe who we caught breaking your law. Your buddy, Daniel. He defies you, man. 3 times a day. Just in your face. Even when he knew this. You got to do something, king. And so all day long, the king, or the rest of that afternoon, he's trying to find a loophole. Trying to get a way out for Daniel. There is no such thing. So hours later, they come back and say, okay, king, time's up. You made the law. You got to follow through. And of course, Daniel gets thrown into the den. The king was so bummed at himself. And this is why. He was haunted by a foolish decision. You ever been there? The king's thinking, I can't believe I was that stupid. What was I thinking? And, you know, they must have got him so kind of puffed up and off guard. And he goes, yeah, I'll do that. And I wonder how many, seriously, even in here, right now, are thinking, I can't believe that I said that. I can't believe I did that. And even last night, you were just haunted. Just kicking yourself. I can't believe I said it again, or I did it again. And you're just haunted by, and you know what? Words are like toothpaste. Once you squeeze it out of that tube, they're not going back in, okay? They don't come back too easy. And you can just rack your brain going, I can't believe I said that or I did that, and there's nothing I can do now to undo it. That's when it takes a fresh serenity to the Lord. All right, so that's where he is. Who slept better that night? You know Daniel's going in the lion's den. We're going to read that the king, man, he chased out the musicians. One translation said he chased out the concubines. No women tonight. I'm miserable. He's got all the comforts of the world and can't sleep. David's using a lion for a pillow. Or Daniel's using a lion for a pillow, and he's having a great night. So, we go to 18 through 23. Now the king went to his palace and spent the night fasting. No musician